Vadim Mozyrsky fled Ukraine in 1979 to start a new life in the United States. The Jewish refugee from Kiev is an administrative law judge who has become a community activist. He's involved in everything from the Goose Hollow Neighborhood Association to the Portland Charter Review Commission to the Police Citizen Review Committee. Mozyrsky is challenging incumbent Joanne Hardesty for Portland City Council position number 3. Vadim Mozyrsky, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you, Ken, for having me here. I appreciate it.
Now, you fled Ukraine when it was still part of the Soviet Union. You were very young at the time, coming over with your parents. What's your take on what's happening there now?
It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, and it's a tragedy that has been occurring for hundreds of years over there. They finally found some stability and democracy in that country. And unfortunately, that's being challenged right now. But it's amazing how people are coming together. They're fighting off a very big foe, and they're doing a good job. They're fighting for democracy over there. And it's also amazing how people in Portland are coming together. I've witnessed that here. People are out in the streets, walking and asking for help and donations, and Portlanders are rallying around that cause. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful to be in a city where people look out for each other and look out for people that live thousands of miles away as well.
Once this is over, any desire to go back and see what's become of where you started?
Definitely. My aunt still lives there. We were lucky enough to get her out of the country before the war started, but we're all anxious to see what it's like over there, what Kiev is like, and also what we can do to help. So I imagine hopefully there'll be a quick resolution of this conflict. The international community is doing what it can, but down the road, I would very much like to go back and see what happened and help out in any way I can.
You're on the Police Citizen Review Committee, and you recently filed a complaint with the city attorney's office, essentially claiming that 2 women on the committee are trying to smear your campaign. Those 2 women happen to be Black and Latina. Why'd you file that complaint?
Because there's certain rules for being in the committee, and I have been working in the Black community for years now in Portland, and they know that. And so taking public time, public space to make false allegations is a breach of those rules, and we can't have that in our city. Our city government needs to follow the rules. Volunteers for the city government needs to follow the rules. And so that's what I'm holding it up to. I exemplify those standards, and I expect other people to exemplify those exact same standards.
One of those women, Shayna Pomerantz, accused you of being aggressive with a tone of, quote, in her words, anti-Blackness. And she also indicated that you should quit the Citizen Review Committee because you're running for city council. How do you respond to that?
Well, I respond to that in the work that I've done in the city. So Shayna saw me only about 2 weeks before then at a coffee house in Alberta where I was talking to 5 Black leaders about their needs. She saw me there, we said hi, and then 2 weeks later, she makes these false allegations. And so, people need to understand the context, and I was very transparent as soon as I heard about this. I released all the emails to the news. I want everybody to read those emails and understand that there was nothing in them but a disagreement about the timing of meetings. They were not aggressive, and most certainly they were not anti-Black. So the transparency is what people want from their city government. Transparency is what I'm offering. Those emails were not read during the meeting where these allegations were made. So I made sure those emails were available for everybody to take a look and judge for themselves.
And I will point out that 2 members of the Portland School Board who are Black are endorsing you in this race. You're running against
pastors of Black churches, and it goes on and on.
Yes. You're running against Joanne Hardesty. Why are you going after her seat? Both her seat and Dan Ryan's seat were available.
Because I keep seeing how there's not a pragmatic, practical solution to the problems we have in Portland. Right now, the major issues are crime and homelessness. And Joanne has certainly been out there with respect to policing here in Portland, but has not proposed solutions to actually address the high crime rate, the high homicide rate. People are dying in the street, and she has not been able to make the bridges and the inroads in order to fix those problems. And similarly with homelessness, as the commissioner in charge of PBOT, when you see tents on sidewalks, when you see RVs parked on the street, those are PBOT issues, and we're not seeing PBOT address those issues. So I think we can have big visions for Portland. We all need to be on board with respect to police oversight, with making sure the bad apples are fired, making sure we have a compassionate response to the homeless crisis that we're seeing. At the same time, people are dying in the street, whether because of gun violence or because of the high deaths in our homeless community, including overdose deaths. And so we have these crises. We have a lot of people dying, but you wouldn't know that with respect to how my opponent is actually running her bureaus. We need to do better.
Well, you pointed out the major issues that we're facing in Portland now, homelessness and crime. What's your suggestion on how we get a handle on those issues?
So with respect to homelessness, the good thing is there's enough money out there. Everyone I talk to mentions how much money we're getting from the new homeless service tax, which was expected to bring $2.5 billion to help individuals on our streets. We have almost $900 million in low-cost housing bonds passed in the last few years. We have federal funding coming in, but there's not enough accountability, and there's certainly not enough outreach. We need to provide stability to people living in our streets. We need to provide a warm bed. We need to provide warm food, but also we need to provide an avenue to get those services. So we need to make sure that not only are we building low-cost housing down the road, which we do need, but we also are finding shelter space for people to live, whatever that shelter space might look like, so we can provide those services. That's what we're lacking right now. We have too many people with drug addiction problems, mental health problems living in our streets. And from what I can tell, our government is expecting them to pick themselves up and go find the services themselves. And that's just not working. And then with respect to crime, we need to address it holistically, which is we need to make sure we have community intervention specialists out there working with people who are gang members or at risk for being gang members. We need to make sure that we have alternative methods for addressing crime, such as public safety support specialists, so that we don't have police arriving at every incident, large and small. But we also need to make sure we have enough police to respond to 911 calls. The interesting thing about running for office is you talk to a lot of people, and those conversations are often wonderful, but sometimes tragic. I hear too many people who have suffered direct results of crime or know somebody that has, and they want police to patrol their streets in order to prevent those crimes. And you have to listen to everybody. You can't listen to the people that agree with you. You also have to listen to the people that disagree with you, and bring all voices to the table and find a solution that meets everybody's needs.
We've got about 30 seconds here, but I do want to get your take on this. You're on the Portland Charter Review Commission, which is considering changing Portland's system of government. Is there a conflict of interest there, or with being on the Police Citizen Review Committee, for that matter, which advises the City Council on police policy? Is there a conflict of interest?
No, and the city attorney has said as much, but I say that I am running to put myself out of a job. I fully believe in the mission of the Charter Commission, which is to change our form of government. So even though I'm running for city commissioner, I very much think that that model is not working for the people of Portland. And 2 years down the road, after I'm elected to office, would gladly step back from running bureaus in order to make sure that we have talented staff whose whole job is to do that while I work with people in the community and hear their voices and legislate.
All right. Thank you very much, Vadim Mozyrsky. Thank you for joining me on Eye on Northwest Politics.